Hi, it's Matt Sammut, Fortress Financial, and I'm here to talk to you today about one of the miracles of capitalism, China. People don't quite get it. How have they done what they've done? How have they all of a sudden taken manufacturing from the Western world without even us knowing it in a sense? Now everyone's complaining. Now you get movements throughout the Western world saying we got problems, we need jobs, we've lost our middle class. And it's true. They were the best jobs to build a strong middle class. That's what we saw in the 50s and the 60s and even the 70s. They were fabulous for society because it allowed people to work hard, make a fair wage, and have a good life for them and their families. Today, story's changing and dramatically, and it's difficult. But let me get back to China. China's fascinating. They've gone through the greatest growth in economic growth in history. We know they got the population. We never talk about population growth. They got a lot of people. They got a quarter of the world. It's unbelievable. So they don't have to worry about finding good people. They just got to figure out who to train to be their best people. They got some fabulous people. But why did China change? What happened versus they were an agrarian society? They were very poor. And for that matter, they're still poor. A great portion of it. They struggle with that, and that's going to be one of their challenges. But let's look at what they have achieved. 10% growth plus, plus, plus for decades. Now they're only running at 6.5 to 7%, and it's like a collapse. Oh my God, poor China. Geez, we'll be lucky to get 1 to 2%. In our opinion, we'll be in recession by year end. Both North American and Europe's pretty much there already. Japan's in recession. We have, I believe, 8 countries worldwide that are in recession today. And here they are running at 6.5, and the world's falling apart. Interesting, isn't it? We haven't seen 6.5 in a long time, and I'm not sure if we will see it in our lifetimes again. But anyways, let's talk about how they did it. How did China do it? Well, first off, vision. They had vision of what they wanted to turn it into, and that comes down to strong leadership. And people may not like a communist system, and don't get me wrong, I believe in democracy. I believe in letting the people help drive things, but there is a lot of flaws with the system we're part of, and I'm going to talk about that. Whereas their system, if you get the right people at the top making the right decisions, powerful. A boat that was sinking can be brought to float real quick and be flying along. And that's what's happened in China. They had some brilliant visionaries and leadership who said, this is the way we're doing it. They did it. Number 2, so again, they had to have a plan. They have now rolling 5-year plans. I think it's absolutely brilliant for a society. And then they work it. And they don't just do it with the top leadership. Top leadership says this is the way it's going to happen. But they make sure that the top business leaders are with them and other people within society, mainly other government people. But bottom line is really smart people to help them drive a plan, 5 years to 5 years. Education, they know it. They were smart enough to say, send our people abroad to some of the best universities in the world. Hey, I live in Toronto and went to University of Toronto, and back then there were a ton of Asians, a ton of Chinese. And they were always known to be the smartest. I used to shake my head thinking, do they speak English? Yet they're getting 95. If they don't speak English, how are they doing it? They probably did, but if they weren't, I don't know how they did it. They're brilliant. Why? Because they worked from when they woke up to when they went to sleep. Am I saying that's good? Not necessarily. I'm a believer in a balanced life. But they sure know. And remember, when Western world started out, that's how it was. People worked and worked and worked. Now it totally has shifted in the Western world where people are looking for distractions. Give me my iPhone, give me my iPad, give me TV, give me movies, give me entertainment. Whereas over there, it's give me a book, let me study, give me a university, give me a degree, give me a second degree. Educations will what drive economies in the future. They're doing it right. Desire. They want the lifestyle of the Western world, or what we used to have. Sadly, I don't know if they want what a lot of people now have, and that's monster debt, difficult lives, and a lot of fears of where the things are going in the future. But what they perceive it to be is wonderful homes, lots of money, great toys, nice cars, trips, all the things that you think you'd want for a happy, healthy life. They want it. They have a desire for it. Makes a big difference. But again, the key is central government control. May sound crazy, but what happens in the Western world? You get voted in. Then you have all these lobbyists coming at you, and of course they gave you a ton of money to get elected, so maybe you owe them a little bit. So you end up going this route because you had to. You get a lot of political pressure because you have to. You have a financial industry over here that is incredibly powerful, so you got to bow a little bit to them because you have to. You want to make sure you get elected in the next election. So how do you get elected? Give the people whatever you can. Give them stuff. They'll be happy if short term you increase their benefits, their welfare, whatever the case may be, because maybe they'll vote for us again. But is that good for the long term of society? No. We've had a cumulative effect where policies put out by Western governments, I think, could be questioned as to, is a system designed for long-term sustainability and growth? Let the business, and I love the movement that's going on in the U.S. Of let the corporate world, let the business world run itself. Now you got to regulate them because you get some people who are pretty conniving and pretty self-serving, and you want to make sure. And we'll talk about this in a future blog where they say, why is the middle class shrinking? Well, maybe if we spread out some of the top end back to the middle class, it wouldn't be. Separate story, critical. People don't get it. It's not as if money's disappeared, but instead of being spread out, it's concentrated, and that's deadly long term. China, though, they board a lot of money, and people say, oh my God, they're on the verge of collapse. Oh, and they have. We don't quite know because they have a big shadow banking system. They don't provide numbers as clearly as Western world, although I'd argue even the Western world, I wonder about their numbers most of the time. But I presume there's a little more integrity in what we're seeing in the Western world. But reality is, China's got trillions of dollars in reserves. Trillions. What do we have in the Western world? Trillions of dollars of debt. Totally different game. They position themselves for a downturn because they have money to take care of it. We have debt. Debt can't take care of difficult times. You need more debt. We are going to be in trouble. They are positioned every which way. Vision, financially, leadership. The machine's not going to stop. Anyone who thinks China machine's going to stop, it's not. Will they go through blips like they have? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because they're trying to move also to a consumerism society. Difficult to do, and it takes time. It's not going to happen in a year or two. But they have a vision again. They want to move from a productive society, which they don't want to disappear, but they realize they're smart enough to say demographics worldwide aren't great. We're going to have less consumers. We better start to be self-sustaining and allow our consumers to start driving the economy like it does in the Western world. They're going to have, I think, a great balance over time because they will have consumers together with productivity, something like maybe we were at back in the 50s and 60s. Good for them. We've got to figure out a way to get out of our messes, though, because we're struggling. So this doesn't mean I'm waving the Chinese flag. Hey, I'm pro-democracy more than anyone. I believe in our system, but I think sometimes we've let the wrong people control our system. And that's one of the problems today. Thanks very much from Fortress. All the best. We'll be back with you at some point soon.